listening to Vaquero News.
Good morning, Vaqueros. It is 10 a.m. Monday, December 7th, 2020, and we are live from the Brownsville campus. Welcome to the last newscast of the semester. I am Victor Ramirez, and we hope you had a safe and restful weekend. Starting out the newscast, reporter Justin Elizalde spoke with the political science lecturer on the insight on a city charter amendment.
Residents in Edinburg will vote on an amendment to the city charter in the November 2021 election, allowing for the automatic removal of elected officials from office should they be charged with a felony. The amendment passed 3-2 by the City Council was part of a general meeting on October 20th. Currently, the city charter states that a mayor or council member may be removed from office if they are found guilty of a felony. In a recorded video of the meeting, Edinburg attorney Javier Peña, during public comment, said he believed that the charter amendment would eliminate due process and open up the city to lawsuits, as he states the Supreme Court has previously struck down similar ordinances. UTRGV political science lecturer William Gordon says in his search of cases that Peña raises, he was unable to find any.
Javier Peña said that the Supreme Court of the United States has struck down similar attempts, but he gave no references. And I think the reason why I gave no references is because there weren't any.
Gordon also mentions a section in the meeting when Councilmember David White states that council members should be held to the same, if not higher, standards of city employees, specifically mentioning fire and police department employees who are suspended without pay after arrest.
And he believed that, that the elected council members and mayor should be held to the same standard. And I agree.
Peña states that the amendment is likely targeting Mayor Richard Molina, who is currently awaiting trial for a voter fraud scheme in the November 2017 election. Gordon says he believes the amendment could be politically motivated.
It's both politically motivated, but also it's giving the voters the chance to have a say about who should be governing them. Should they be governed by someone who's indicted?
Gordon also says the amendment could make Molina question a re-election run should there be no trial decision before November, giving leverage to Mayor Pro Tem Gilbert Enriquez.
Mr. Enrique, is going to, I think, be in a better position if Mayor Molina decides not to run for re-election.
To read the full amendment, visit cityofedinburgh.com. For Vaquero News, I'm Justin Elizalde.
UTRGV responds to a student's displeasure on an in-person athletic games and virtual graduation. A UTRGV student's post on social media voicing her displeasure with the university's decision to allow fans to attend athletic games but not offer an in-person graduation sparked conversation on the topic. The post on the UTRGV Students Group Facebook page is referring to a doubleheader the men's and women's basketball team played against Texas A&M Corpus Christi last Wednesday at the Bird Ogden Arena. As previously reported by Vaquero Radio, UTRGV announced that the fall 2020 in-person commencement is postponed and will be offered virtually on Saturday. Criminal justice senior Jessica Escamilla shares the reason why she made the post.
I think I wanted to see more of if there was anybody else feeling the way that I did, which me and a lot of other students are disheartened to hear that we couldn't have an in-person graduation.
Escamilla tells Vaquero Radio what options she believes the university should have considered to offer an in-person graduation.
I would like to think that if they were able to put this together for athletics, that there could have been a way to put together a combination of a virtual and in-person graduation.
Associate Vice President for University Marketing Communications, Patrick Gonzalez, says any university event request goes through a process of approval.
We have an events committee that reviews all requests for university-hosted events or related events, and with guidance from our infectious disease and prevention committee, those requests are reviewed.
Gonzalez says the difference between a basketball game and commencement is the anticipation of attendance.
Our commencement routinely have 3,000 graduates. That's just graduates. And if you throw in their guests, that puts the expected attendance at over 10,000, almost 15,000 people.
According to Gonzalez, another factor between basketball games and commencement is the choice of going to the event.
If it's commencement and we had commencement at Bird Ogden, we would pretty much be forcing students who do not want to have an in-person commencement because of the pandemic.
Gonzalez says in order to ensure the safety and health of graduates, staff, employees, and guests, the decision was made to move commencement virtually. For Vaquero News, News, I'm Victor Ramirez. Reporter Rodolfo Alvarado tells us about the School of Podiatry at UTRGV and the next steps to open its doors.
UTRGV has received approval by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board to create its new School of Podiatry, which will allow medical students to major in podiatric medicine. According to a news release from UTRGV, the School of Podiatry will allow students to pursue careers in the medical and surgical care of the foot and ankle. Interim Dean for the School of Podiatry, Dr. Lawrence Harkless, explains the importance of getting this approval by the board.
Well, every program has to be approved by their professional accrediting body to make sure that there are standards and all those things that they have to abide by to allow them to have the credibility that's necessary to be a profession.
According to Dr. Harkless, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commissions on Colleges has given their approval for the Doctor of Podiatric Medicine program in November, and the only accreditation still pending is from the Council on Podiatric Medical Education, which he believes will be received in October of 2021. According to Dean of UTRGV School of Medicine and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, Dr. John Krause, the School of Podiatry here at UTRGV will be the first podiatry school in the state of Texas and the 10th program in the country.
We know that students from the Valley have needed to go elsewhere if they wanted to become a physician. By us now having this program in the Valley, we feel more confident that students who train in our program will decide to stay and practice in this area.
UTRGV alumnus Ricardo Gonzalez says he is interested in applying once the School of Podiatry opens and thinks having the specialty at the university will be a major addition to the school and South Texas.
For UTRGV to establish a School of Podiatry, I think that can only solidify the reputation of UTRGV as kind of a powerhouse in not only medicine but as healthcare as a whole.
According to Dr. Harkless, the School of Podiatry should be ready for its first group of students in 2022. This is Rodolfo Alvarado for Vaquero News.
We go in depth on the COVID-19 vaccine and updates on what will be happening the next couple of weeks. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced last Wednesday the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has made an initial allocation of more than 1.4 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines for this month. According to the news release, the vaccines will arrive the week of December 14th and will be distributed to qualifying providers across Texas, who in turn will administer the immunizations based on the vaccine distribution principles developed by the state's COVID-19 Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel. Abbott also states that additional allocations may be made later this month and increased amounts are expected in January and the following months. Initially, the state will allocate COVID-19 vaccines to healthcare workers, frontline workers, vulnerable populations, areas with health inequities, data-driven allocation, and geographic diversity. The list was made by the panel, which is made up of doctors from the Texas Department of State Health Services, state senators, state representatives, and health experts from the Texas A&M University and University of Texas system. One of the members of the panel is Senator Eddie Lucio Jr., who represents District 27, which includes counties in the Rio Grande Valley. Vaquero Radio contacted Lucio for an interview, but he was unavailable as of this broadcast. Regional Medical Director for the Texas Department of State Health Services, Dr. Emily Pro, overlooks Public Health Region 11, which is one of the 8 public health regions and includes the RGV. Pro explains the 2 pharmaceutical companies that have announced their COVID-19 vaccine that are 90% effective against the virus.
So the first one is Moderna, and this is a mRNA vaccine. It is approved for 18 years and older, and this vaccine does need 2 doses, and they need to be spaced about a month apart or 28 days, and this vaccine needs to be frozen or refrigerated. So their vaccine trial, kind of going back to how many participants have been enrolled, is around 30,000 participants. They have reported around 95% efficacy, and then they've also reported that this has been a diverse population that have been enrolled in their trial.
She goes into further detail to explain the second pharmaceutical company, Pfizer, that has also been working on the COVID-19 vaccine.
Then Pfizer, their vaccine trial, they have over 43,000 participants, and they have 42% of all of their participants have a diverse background. So this is also an mRNA vaccine, and it's approved for ages 12 and over, so a little bit younger than the Moderna. It also requires 2 doses, and they need to be spaced out at least 21 days. So both of them around a month. The difference with Pfizer is that it needs to to be ultra cold frozen, and it can stay 5 days in a refrigerated or in refrigeration.
According to Pro, the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is also 95% effective. Pro says having the Pfizer vaccine at ultra cold frozen presents problems for handling and distribution of the vaccine to communities or populations.
So the way it's shipped is sort of in these little, it looks like a pizza box type package where it has multiple vials in there, and it can't be taken out of the ultra cold of that very cold environment only unless it's going to be used within those 5 days. So in our areas that have very low population or those who are pretty remote, it might be a little bit more difficult, but we're still in the planning stages for that. The state is going to be looking into contracting with different providers. So there's already been a call out to many providers. So physicians' offices, hospitals, through our immunization program link.
Dean of the UTRGV School of Medicine and Executive Vice President for Health Affairs, Dr. John Krause, says the university will receive 2,000 Pfizer vaccines.
We are an identified site for the receipt and distribution of the vaccine, and we should be rolling out to the first identified group sometime this month.
He says the university will follow the federal and state guidance on prioritizing healthcare workers on the first vaccines the university will receive.
So what we are going to be doing is immunizing our healthcare faculty and students in this first round later this month, and we're going to be doing that on our Edinburg campus. Actually, we're setting up an operation in order to give the vaccine at the medical school itself, and we will be doing that at the time that the emergency authorization is finally approved by the FDA sometime this month.
He also says the university is planning to offer the COVID-19 vaccine the way UTRGV offered the flu vaccine.
As you know, the vaccine is being produced on a regular basis, and only a certain number of doses are available at any one time. But we expect shortly after the first of the year to be receiving a regular supply of vaccine doses that we will target to not only the campus community, and certainly we do want to make sure that our campus is safe and that faculty, staff, and students can return to campus, but certainly we will be having responsibility for the general community in the Valley as well. So we see this as a process that's going to continue for at least the next 8 or 9 months at a minimum.
According to Pro, evidence show taking the vaccine will keep people out of the hospital.
There has been a very few number of people who have, and we're still looking to get more research on this, but they have gotten either a mild or moderate case of COVID, but the majority have not ended up all of them have not ended up in the hospital, and all of them have not died. So I think that with all of these vaccinations, there's not one over the other that have been better.
She says there is still a lot of unknowns, such as the length of the protection from COVID-19.
Some of the studies have shown that most of these vaccines, once given, they elicit a good immune response, and it might depend on the participant which ones have.
According to Pfizer's website, the company submitted a request to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for an emergency use authorization of their COVID-19 vaccine candidate. Pro explains the process of approval for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine.
So right now they're applying for the EUA, or they applied for the EUA, which is the emergency use authorization. Then after that, they go to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, to get the FDA weighs in on the vaccine. And so they review all of this, the safety data, the efficacy data, to make sure that it is safe and effective, because that's what their role is to provide effective and safe vaccines to the communities.
According to Pro, if the FDA approves the vaccine, the company will be ready to distribute around 6 million doses this month and probably 1 billion in 2021. Pro explains the vaccine will be free, but charges may be made to some.
So if it is distributed from a local health department, so people can charge an administration fee, and that's dependent on whoever receives the vaccine. They cannot charge for the vaccine because it's provided by the feds/the state, so they can't charge for the actual vaccine. But they can charge an administration fee. Then those who receive it through public health will most likely be free. So we usually ask for a $10 administration, but then we're also, if someone can't pay, we're not going to turn them back.
People have shared skepticism on social media of the vaccine and claimed they would not want to take it. But former Presidents Barack Obama, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton announced they are willing to take the COVID-19 vaccine to promote public confidence. Exercise science senior Andy Garcia says he will be getting the vaccine once it is available to get.
I just trust in the science of the science behind and the technology behind the pharmacy companies developing the vaccine like Pfizer and Moderna.
He believes healthcare workers should be the first ones to get the vaccine. According to a news release on November 13, Sunshine Retirement Living is among the senior living companies to enroll in the CDC's National COVID-19 Vaccine Program. The news release states the CDC partnered with CVS and Walgreens to provide free of charge on-site vaccination clinics at senior living communities as soon as the COVID-19 vaccine is approved and becomes available. Sunshine Retirement Living has partnered with CVS and will offer each of its residents and staff members at its 34 communities across the country the option to receive the free vaccine, including Brook Ridge Retirement Community and FAR. On March 11th, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 outbreak a global pandemic, and as of last Friday, there are currently more than 64,600,400 confirmed cases and more than 1,500,600 deaths. According to WHO, the U.S. is reporting more than 13,750,500 cases of COVID-19 and more than 270,200 deaths. As of last Friday, TDSHS has reported more than 1,200,100 cases and 22,000 deaths in the state of Texas. Pro says she encourages the Valley residents to continue social distancing and wearing masks.
Because right now we still don't have a vaccine for everyone, but the vaccine news has been very encouraging and very positive. So we'll see a lot more and expect to hear a lot more from vaccines to vaccination in the next coming weeks and months.
For Vaquero News, I'm Victor Ramirez.
And McLean goes up and throws down a monster dunk. That fires up the UTRGV Fieldhouse.
And now time for Vaquero Sports. UTRGV men's basketball 3-game winning streak comes to an end on the road as they fall 81-68 against Texas A&M University on Sunday at Reed Arena. UTRGV was able to run out to a quick 6-5 lead on a three-pointer from senior guard Chris Freeman. Texas A&M quickly regained the lead on a Quentin Johnson three-pointer that sparked a 26-14 run that would culminate for the Aggies' largest first-half lead of 34-20. The Aggies ended the first half with a 43-32 lead while shooting over 56% from the field and over 46% from three, compared to UTRGV's 40% from the field and 35% from deep. To start the second half, UTRGV was quickly able to cut the Texas A&M lead to only 6, 45-39, with a sophomore guard Quentin Johnson the second layup and three-pointer. Johnson ended the game with a career-high 21 points, sinking 4 three-pointers to go along with a team-high 6 rebounds. Over the next 10 minutes, Texas A&M would go on a 23-10 run to increase their lead to 68-49, in which 6 different Aggies scored, including 8 of sophomore forward Emmanuel Miller's team-leading 21 points and 10 rebounds. Texas A&M also had a strong performance from sophomore guard Andre Gordon, who finished the game with 18 points, going 8 for 11 from the field. Junior forward Merrick Nelson was the second leading scorer for UTRGV with 10 points off the bench in 15 minutes. Senior guard Javon Levi left the game midway through the second half with an apparent ankle injury, but no statement has been made by UTRGV Athletics. UTRGV will have a couple days to rest before their next matchup on the road at 7 p.m. Thursday against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who they beat earlier this season at Bird Ogden Arena 62-59. For Vaquero Radio, I'm Luis Rubio.
And now for this week's weather report. Today, Brownsville will be sunny with a high near of 7 degrees. In Edinburg, it should be similar weather, sunny with a high near of 71 degrees. Throughout the week, Brownsville will be sunny with an average of 75 degrees. Saturday night, rolling to Sunday, we should be expecting a 20% chance of showers. Throughout the week in Edinburg, it should be sunny with an average of 76 degrees. On Sunday, we should also be expecting a 20% chance of showers. And that's it for your weekly weather report. Stay tuned for campus events.
And now for this week's event calendar.
Career Center will be hosting Coffee and Careers to give students an opportunity to engage with the Career Center staff in an information setting from 2:30 to 3 p.m. Wednesday via Zoom. Visit VLink to RSVP or to learn more. Remember, Vaqueros, payment for the spring 2021 semester is due on January 6th, and spring classes begin on January 11th. Also, on January 14th is the last day to add or register for spring classes. And that's it for the last newscast of the semester. We want to remind our listeners that we will not have our weekly newscast during the winter break. We will be back with a regular broadcast on January 11th, 2021. Thank you for listening and choosing Vaquero Radio. Have a safe and happy holidays.
This has been Vaquero News.